I'm Gwendolyn Symes. I'm a current 10th grader here. Yeah.
And where are you from?
I live on
Yeah.
campus this year, but I've been a day student the past 2 years. So I've been here since 8th grade. I live close to New Hampshire. I live in Boxford, but so I know day and boarding, but and middle school and high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're super excited to have you here. So the way we're going to structure this is we're going to speak for about 25 minutes or so, answer some questions, and then you'll be able to go out on tour with Gwen. And then you can come back and we can answer any other questions that you may have. And then we'll answer some questions from the folks streaming in. So in general, uh, we wanted to kind of give you a basic information session without boring you. So giving you some fast facts, understanding who we are as a school, what makes us unique, what really makes us special and stand out in the overall independent school environment. So the way that we're going to do that is really talk about what it means to be a student here at Chapel Hill inside the classroom and what it means to be a student at Chapel Hill outside of the classroom, what it means to be a member of our community in general, and then talking about kind of that whole overall projection of the experience as a student here from the start, if you're starting in middle school, if you're starting in the upper school, and then kind of beyond Chapel Hill and what kind of supports you get there. So, a brief introduction of Chapel Hill. We are a small day and boarding school located just 10 miles outside of Boston, here in Waltham. Two distinguishing factors about who we are and what make us unique. Number one is our size. We're an intentionally small boarding school. We have about 200 students in totality between grades 7 through 12, and we are about 60% day and 40% boarding. So that translates to about 8 to 10 students per class on average. So you are going to be getting as a student individualized attention in the classroom and a really strong community where everyone knows who you are, where students can be seen, heard, valued, and known. And it's a place where everyone really supports each other. So regardless of if you want to take risks inside the classroom or outside the classroom, you really have the whole community behind you. We have a really intentional schedule, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but we're on a block schedule and we have 70-minute classes. So an hour and 10 minutes. So when you're talking about 10 students in a class for an hour and 10 minutes, the teachers get to know you. I know Gwen will probably talk about
Yeah.
this, but they not only get to know you as a learner, but they get to know you as a person. What are the interests that you have? How are you going to be able to decipher the material and engage with the material? But then you also get to know your classmates, and you have this really discussion-based experience where you're not only learning through the eyes of the text, through the eyes of the teacher, but you're also learning through your peers and their shared experiences. And especially being a boarding school, that's really fascinating because there are students from here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
And, we are really proud to say that we're a college prep school, meaning that, we have a really robust athletic and arts program after school, our co-curricular program, which we'll talk about in a moment. But really, it feels like a mini college campus and a mini college schedule, all the while being an independent school 7 through 12. So quick, fast facts. Again, as I mentioned, we have 200 students in totality, ranging from grades 7 through 12. Our average class size is anywhere from 8 to 10. 40% of our students are boarding. We have about 20 countries represented on campus right now. But with that, we also have a lot of academic opportunities of exploration and challenge, over 17 advanced honors and AP courses that students can take in their projection of their high school experience. As I mentioned before, we have a really great athletic program. We've had about 18 league championships over the past 7 years. We're, again, only 10 miles from Boston, and 100% of our students go to college, get accepted to college, and matriculate to college, being that true college prep school. So what defines us academically as a school? Really, we talk a lot about challenge and support. We're known as a school that can challenge you as a student, both academically, interpersonally, and socially, but also with equal amounts of support. So how do we do that? We're really unique as a school where we're really able to tailor our schedule to make sure that students are getting the appropriate amount of challenge, but also getting that appropriate amount of support. And being in that college preparatory environment, we really wanted to mirror our college schedule. So one of the things that we do that we're really proud of is we have daily office hours. So 4 days a week, except for Wednesdays, we offer a 40-minute block after the first block of classes, which is office hours. In the 20-minute block, sorry, which is office hours. And that is an opportunity for students to engage with their teachers in any way possible to kind of catch up on work or get ahead on work or get additional help. What's lovely about office hours is that in grades 7 through 10, you're actually assigned to your teacher. So your academic advisor, your teachers are able to determine what class would actually be a better class to go and get office hours help with.
Yeah.
But then after the 10th grade, we give the onus on the students to then be able to self-advocate, to be able to go to those office hours that they feel is best for them. So I don't know, Gwen, you want to quickly talk about your experience with office hours?
Yeah, office hours is really helpful for me, especially when I was a day student and I was living pretty far away. It was a time where I knew even if I didn't quite get everything done or I had a question on homework that night, I knew I could get help the next day. But also, say if I had like math office hours on Tuesdays, but I had no math homework, but I had a ton of history homework, I could ask my math teacher and my history teacher. And if they both said yes, I could go to my history office hours. So they're really good about helping you with what you need that day. So even if you are assigned to a specific teacher that day, if you really need help from another teacher, they're good about letting you do that. So yeah.
And it's a time where the whole school, the entire community is participating in office hours. So it's not taking away from your ability
Yeah.
to participate in a club or another class or a co-curricular activity. Everyone really blocks that time off to be able to get that extra help and that extra work done,
Yeah.
which again really speaks to that preparation for college and being able to ask for help and that self-advocacy.
Yeah.
So office hours is something that we're really proud of, and it's really early in the day, so it kind of sets the tone of the day. After your first class, you go to office hours, you get that extra boost, and then you're ready to have the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Once a week, you also have advisory. Advisory is a really great time where you're with about, depending on the grade that you're in or year, you could be with as little as 3 other students to as many as like 4 or 5 other students.
Yeah.
So it's a group of no more than about 6 or 7 students to one staff member. That is going to be your faculty advisor. Your faculty advisor is going to be different each year, which is really great because you actually get to build a trusted relationship with a different member of the community. And what I love about advisory as well is that it doesn't necessarily have to be an academic teacher. There are advisors who are staff members on campus, so the whole community really comes together to support our students. And advisory is a great space where you get to just enjoy each other's company. I don't know if you want
Yeah.
to talk about advisory. It's a
Yeah.
very low stakes, low stress place where you get to really unwind.
Yeah, so my advisor is actually Miss Maniscalco, who works in admissions. But my advisor last year, Miss Trossi, I still talk to her. I still sometimes will go to her office hours because I trust her and I know that she will help me. She also, I like her office. It's very quiet, so it's a good place to get things done. But I think it's really cool because even if like you meet a new advisor every year, but I still talk to my old advisor. I still am in contact with her, but I also love my new advisor. My advisor is 4 students, and I think not this week, but next week. My dad runs a theater in Stoneham, and we're trying to go see a show at my dad's theater as an advisory. And then in the spring, I think we're gonna try to go walk to Duncan because it's right down the road. So we kind of build a bond with a few people, even though there's only one person in my advisory who I actually have classes with, but I've still kind of met them through advisory. So yeah.
So it's a really great way where students from the same grade are able to connect with a member of our community. They can talk about academics if they want to, but they can talk about anything. And it's a
Yeah.
really great way to just kind of bond and be able to have another trusted adult on
Yeah.
campus, which is really nice. That advisor is your advocate as a student. So they're going to work with you through your progress notes. They're going to work with you if there are conferences coming up. They're going to
Yeah.
advise you on any sort of academic needs or social, emotional, interpersonal needs. So advisory is a really great way, and a kind of a precursor to what you would have maybe in college
Yeah.
as an academic
They're
advisor there.
also advisor is one of the first like points for parents to go to if they have any concerns. Advisors are a good person to go to because they work with such a small group that they're really able to focus on you individually.
And they're going to be able to be kind of the conduit between you and your child's faculty members and teachers and everything. So
Mhm.
that's a really great a point of contact. And you're going to be, as a parent, you're going to be able to be in close contact with your child's advisor. So speaking to challenge and support, one of our signature programs is our Skills and Academic Strategies program, what we say SAS.
Yeah.
We like to abbreviate everything here. So Skills and Academic Strategies really speaks to that challenge and support because it is a program specifically designed as a toolkit for executive functioning for our students. So it is a program that we have built, and it's one of our signature programs because it's been around since the early 80s. So we're actually one of the originators of these academic support programs now that are pretty common in a lot of independent schools, which is great because, intelligence isn't in a vacuum. Students can be really strong students, but need a little extra support here and there. So Skills and Academic Strategies is a curriculum that students can opt into. We define that in the admissions process. So if a student is applying and we find that they would benefit from this program, it's an elective program that we can enroll your child in. It is an executive functioning curriculum where students are going to be having an academic block. So it doesn't take away from their academics or co-curricular activities. It meets 3 to 4 times a week, like any other academic class for that 70-minute block, but it's a smaller class. It's 3 to 4 students to one teacher. It is a mix of an academic support program where students are able to get support in the areas that they need academic support in. But also it is an executive functioning boot camp, we like to call. It builds skills of self-advocacy. It builds skills of study habits, and it really builds students in their confidence and how they are as learners. It teaches our students how they're able to access curriculum, how they're able to access academics in the way that's best for them. I don't know if you want to talk about your experience in SAS.
So I actually never took the actual
Yeah.
class of SAS, but in middle school it's sort of more built into the day. So even though I never took it, if I hadn't been in eighth grade before I came to ninth grade, if I had just come here into ninth grade, I probably would have had to take SAS. But they kind of set me up in eighth grade to have it built into the day where I didn't need to take it in ninth grade. But so for middle school, they have office hours, they have advisory. They also use some of our clubs blocks sometimes to if you need extra help on something. But it's really built into the day with middle school, and that really set me up to not need it in high school, which isn't it's not a bad thing if you do need it, as obviously there were probably some aspects that could have helped, but I didn't end up needing it because I had the setup in eighth grade. So, but it's a great program. I've heard lots of great things about it. My advisor last year was an SAS teacher. So even though I didn't have the SAS, I still had her, even if I needed like help with one specific thing and just having her as a point of contact as an SAS teacher who knew how SAS worked was really great. So,
And
yeah.
what makes SAS really unique for us is that we have standalone faculty members who are SAS teachers.
Yeah.
So they work very closely with our content level teachers with the student's profile. So that means that, let's say your child is in SAS, their teacher will be in touch with their math teacher and their English teacher and their history teacher and their science teacher, all to make sure how are they doing in class? Where are the areas that they need support in? So not only are they getting that baseline foundational curriculum and executive functioning, but then the teachers are able to tailor the material to best suit the student in the way that they particularly learn.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
my Miss Tarasi was my advisor whenever I went to her office. So she was on the ninth grade SAS team. And whenever I went to her office, she always had on her whiteboard what assignments each class that she had students in on her had at that time and when they were due and what they needed to do for it. So even though I didn't necessarily have all those classes or those assignments, she had everybody who she taught whatever classes they were in. She had their what was coming up on the board. So.
So it really is a unique program compared to, a traditional like academic success program or like after school tutoring. It really allows students to feel elevated in their ability to advocate for themselves and their ability to seek support when needed. But then it also builds those skills for college, which is really helpful because when you're in college, as many of us know, if you're struggling in any sort of way or need extra support, you're not going to necessarily have people telling you that. You have to kind of seek that advocacy on your own. So it really allows students to do well there. And about, I would say, a little less than half of our students coming into the ninth grade will take advantage of that program. But again, matching to that support need challenge, we offer a lot of challenge here. Being a college prep school, having a college prep curriculum, two ways that we do that, I think really well are through our Distinguished Scholars Diploma program and our Independent Study program, which kind of go hand in hand. A Distinguished Scholar Diploma is a unique program that starts in earnest in the junior year. Actually, our sophomores now are having, the sophomore parents now are having the meeting with our program director, our 10th grade, 9th and 10th grade program director, to talk about the preparation if a student would like to go through a Distinguished Scholars Diploma. It begins in earnest in junior year. We have Distinguished Scholar Diploma programs in the arts, social sciences, STEM, and social justice and community service. So those are ways where students are able to go outside of the defined curriculum and build their own basically senior thesis. That allows students to take independent study coursework in building their own curriculum that culminates in a Distinguished Scholars Diploma at the end of their senior year, where they present in front of a jury of faculty. And then if it is accepted, then they graduate with a Distinguished Scholar Diploma in that particular field. So let's say Distinguished Scholar Diploma in STEM because the student is interested in pre-medicine, did a pre-medicine track of the Distinguished Scholar Diploma, or computer science, or we had some students do it in the visual arts, specifically art therapy was one. So we have students who kind of create their own curriculum, are able to build that with a faculty advisor over their junior and senior year, be able to take a number of independent study courses outside of our curriculum for dual enrollment, and then it culminates in a Distinguished Scholar Diploma. So it's a really great opportunity. I don't know, Gwen, if you have some friends who've done them or have heard about it, or if you have any anecdotes that you would like to speak about the student experience hearing about the Distinguished Scholar Diploma.
So I don't have any specific friends I know who have done it, but I am interested in doing it. My English teacher came up to me a couple months ago and was like, "Do you want to do a single scholar?" I was like, "Yes, I do." So I've heard a little bit about it. I know that it's really interesting to be able to focus on such a specific thing, because even though you have like the umbrella of like you're in STEM or you're doing it under arts or like these bigger umbrellas, you get to focus really specifically in on something that you're interested in within those umbrellas. So I think it's really cool. Yeah.
And on your high school transcript, it will define that you received a Distinguished Scholars
Yeah.
Diploma, and there's actually a special ceremony at graduation for our students who've received Distinguished Scholar Diploma at our baccalaureate ceremony. So it is something that elevates students in the college application process. It allows colleges to see that the student has gone outside the curriculum, has gone above and beyond what is offered
It
to
actually
be able
looks
to
great.
pursue this independent study, and really allows the students to Gwen's point, explore and dive into an area of study that's really interesting to them and that they're passionate about, that's not necessarily prescribed in the high school curriculum.
Yeah.
So that's really fun.
Also, all distinguished people, everybody who does a distinguished scholar program has an advisor for that. So my English teacher offered to be my advisor for that if I do end up doing it. So each person will have a teacher who is their kind of point of contact for that distinguished scholar. So yeah.
So quickly, as we mentioned, our schedule, we're really proud of our block schedule. There's a lot of thought and care that goes into our schedule. So we have 6 block rotations. So students are taking, I would say, probably classes 3 to 4 times a week.
Each class meets 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Some classes you'll have, so the only class I have D block is the only class that you'll never have 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Every other class you might have it 2 days in a row and then one day in between. So, but it looks a little confusing, but once you get into it, it's quite easy to understand.
And it really mirrors that college schedule. So you'll see that office hours block, as we mentioned before, every day except for Wednesdays. And then twice a week we have assemblies, which is really something that's fascinating and unique, where it's a time where the entire community comes together in our assembly hall. And all of our seniors, before they graduate, have to participate in a senior presentation. It's a public speaking engagement. That's 10 minutes. They can speak about literally anything that they want to. And we've seen some very unique senior presentations, but the whole community comes together and listens to those. And that's a really great opportunity too for student council or any of the clubs or organizations on campus to make announcements, or faculty or students. It's a really nice way for the whole community to kind of sit together and be together in that space. That happens twice a week. As we mentioned before, advisory happens once a week. And then we have our clubs block twice a week, which Gwen can definitely dive into clubs in just a moment when we have our section on clubs. But that's a really great way for students to kind of explore their interests outside of the classroom. And then we have class meeting once a week. Our classes are year long and they're 70-minute blocks.
Which 70 minutes sounds like a long time. When you're actually in the classes, it really doesn't feel that long. I've never had a 70-minute class block where we're doing the same thing for the whole class. We always split it up. Every teacher will give you a 5-minute break unless it's like you have a test or something, which we don't have very often, but you'll never have one class where you're just sitting doing the same thing the whole class.
So we really dug into SAS, but again, really thinking about what defines the program and makes it unique are the four categories of strengthening those executive functioning skills, implementing academic strategies that they can take and use in the future, developing those self-advocacy skills that we talked about, and then understanding themselves as learners. So understanding how they can access the curriculum, what works best for them, and taking those skills and leading with them in the future. A lot of the times our students will take SAS. It's not that they're taking it all 4 years. They might take it 1 or maybe 2 years, and they're using that toolkit and bringing it with them beyond even Chapel Hill's gates, going to college. So speaking about student life, and I'm going to really defer to Gwen on this because you can hear it from me, but why not hear it from a student? We talked about advisories. We mentioned assemblies. Our class meetings really dig into health and wellness. I don't know, Gwen, if you want to quickly talk about kind of the health and wellness and DEI initiatives that happen during class meetings.
Sure, yeah. So class meetings happen once a week. So they'll happen on Wednesdays. It's a time for like just your grade level to meet. So 10th grade will meet with your 10th grade team. So there's a set of teachers who are assigned to that grade level. And then Mr. Mike he's the 10th grade dean, so he's kind of like the leader of the 10th grade faculty team. Um, you'll talk about a bunch of different things. In sophomore year, you do something called a sophomore share. So it's kind of like like a little mini senior presentation for just your grade. So it's kind of working up towards a senior presentation. But and then part of the year you also have health and wellness in place of class meetings. So it's not fully in place, but it's at the same time. So last year we did it was with When It's Social is the
Yep.
program that we do it with, and we did it all about how to be online safely, like cyberbullying, all that stuff, and how to navigate that safely. But also with that, we'll do different activities in class meeting. In my grade, we have a journal. So like at the beginning of each trimester, so we just started a new trimester, we wrote down what our goals are for the trimester. But we also do lots of different activities with team building. One of my favorites was we did um Mr. Mike gave us a word, and he split us into teams, and he gave us a word, and we had to think of every song that we could think of that had that word in it. But if any of the other teams guessed that song too, it didn't count. So it was actually quite difficult. He gave us a very simple word, so it's in a lot of songs, but you don't really think about it. But then we also have student life, which it happens, is it once a
Yeah,
month-ish?
yeah,
Once a
just about.
month-ish.
Yeah.
So that would be instead of a block one day, and so the most recent one we did was Native American
Mhm.
Heritage Month. So we had a speaker come in. He talked to us. We got to vote on what he talked about. So he gave us a bunch of different like topics, and we as a school voted on what we wanted him to talk about. Some that we've done in the past, we usually do. So later in the year, we'll do a Women's History Month. We've done Asian American, Pacific Islander, Hispanic Heritage Month. We do lots of those, and it's kind of depending on the one that we do that year, it'll either be speakers will come in or we'll have a bunch of different activities that you can choose from. So I know one year for the Women's History Month, my mom came in because she's a medical technician, so had a bunch of people come in and talk about what they do for the as yeah.
Yeah. So we try with both health and wellness and DEI initiatives to really not only promote programming within the community, but bring members of outside the community into the community
Yeah.
to educate our students and to really make our students feel like whole together. Another really great opportunity that we do that I always love to talk about that kind of fits both of these categories well is that with our international student population, we actually about once a month we have the cafeteria takeovers
Yes. Those are my favorite.
where we have students, and it doesn't have to even be international students. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's domestic students who want to highlight their specific home culture, where they actually take over the dining hall for one Friday and they produce their family's recipes. So I don't know what the last one was.
I think it was the Dominican.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So there was not I think it was like three or four students.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it
it was like
was
Vanessa
it was
and
Vanessa, Jari,
Jody
and
and Jeffrey. but three of our students are not going to take it.
Yeah.
But they took all of their home recipes that their family's favorite recipes, celebrating Dominican heritage, and made a massive community meal. And it's lunch, so it's for both day students and boarders,
Yeah.
faculty and staff.
So
And
get to
they
work
not
with,
only
yeah,
cook
with the dining hall
with our
staff.
dining hall staff, but they also present the meal, so they're able to serve it to everyone, so they can see on everyone's faces how delicious the food is. I think the whole community can say those are the best days because that's
Yes.
when the food is truly the best.
Yeah.
But it's a really great way for our students to showcase a piece of home, but then also educate the community of their culture. And it's just a really great way that the whole community comes together and gets excited. You just saw how we lit up when we talked about it
Yeah.
because it's something that we really look forward to.
Yeah.
The food is really great no matter what, but that is just something that we love to talk about. And
Yeah.
then finally, our last signature program, I'd be remiss to not talk about it. And for folks in the room, sorry for folks on the camera, but we will have it on our website, is our spring session. So every year, instead of having final exams and opportunities for stress at the end of the year, we actually spend the last week of school outside of class doing experiential learning programs. We offer a number of different types of spring sessions. They can be on campus and off campus. We actually
Nice.
just had them announced for this year.
Yeah. So
Yesterday, that was the fair.
yeah.
So this is the catalog. So examples of, let me try to see if I can remember all of the ones that are off the top of my head. We have a trip to Panama this year,
Yeah.
which is very exciting.
I was talking to my parents because so the way it works to sign up, your parents will go on and sign you up, but you had to put like one through, I think it's three or four
Yep.
choices. So I was talking about, but one that I think is really cool, they're going to the Smoky Mountains this
Mhm.
year, and then also Hurricane Island in Maine. Those are two of my top
Yep.
options. And Martha's Vineyard is also on there. I think
Yep.
there are also a few domestic ones. There's like an arts and crafts one.
Yep.
There's one that's doing like boxing nearby. There's Quebec,
Yep.
which happens a lot out of years.
Yep. The DC trip, Baltimore
There's a
trip,
trip New York.
New York.
It's like a
So
Broadway trip.
there are all these experiential learning programs that are surrounding a specific topic. So the New York trip is to look at theater and
Yeah.
performance. The Baltimore trip is looking at history through the lens of art.
It's
The
also in
Smoky Mountain,
Memphis.
yeah, the Memphis. There's
It's
Smoky Mountain
music.
trip is the Memphis is music. Smoky Mountain trip is
Dollywood.
Dollywood, and specifically the history surrounding that type of country music.
Yeah.
So there are, and the Hurricane Island is about conservation
Martha's
and
Vineyard, they're doing a lot of stuff with like housing crisis. That's also Mr. Diorio is running that one. He's the photography teacher. So I think they're
yeah.
going to kind of document the whole trip while they're there as well.
Oh, wonderful. In the chat, there is a link to the spring session catalog. Thank you so much. But yeah, so that is a really great way that really defines us as a school where we're able to take a step outside the classroom and give our students a meaningful educative experience where they don't feel confined to a textbook, a tablet, a phone, or a laptop, where they're able to get this hands-on educative experience. And it's just fun. Like, what spring
Yeah.
session did you do last year?
So I went to Barcelona last year. It was so fun. We went for, I think it was a week. It was great. We went all over the place. We were constantly going, but I loved it. Yeah, I was with a bunch of my friends. I had a few friends who were seniors who went on that trip, so it was really nice to have kind of one last week with them before they graduated. So, yeah.
So, as you all know, we are incredibly close to Boston. Here are some of the colleges that are in our local backyard, and just the ability to go to Boston for educative experiences, but also just for fun is a really great opportunity for us as a school. You know, one of our defining characteristics is our location, where we have that 43-acre campus that feels like a real tight-knit small community, but also having the ability to go to Boston whenever we choose for fun or for educative experiences, and to prepare yourself for college is something that we're really, really lucky and proud of, and love to highlight. And then quickly, you're going to hear it on tour today with Gwen, but we have our co-curricular program. Students will end classes, as you saw from our schedule, around 3 o'clock, and then from 3 to 5 around that time, students participate in co-curricular activities. Those can be interscholastic athletics or non-competitive activities such as theater or theater tech or podcasting or makerspace. But it gives the opportunity for students to engage with each other in a non-academic environment, make friendships, but then explore interests or try new things. Because we're a small school, we have a no-cut policy in any of our co-curriculars. So you can be someone who's played volleyball your entire life and be on the volleyball team, and you can have never even heard of what volleyball is, and you can be on on the same team. And the whole community supports you in that exploration and endeavor. I don't know if you just want to mention a couple of the co-curriculars that you've done so far.
So I have done kind of a lot of different things. I did play soccer in the fall. I've done podcast. I've done basketball. This winter I'm doing theater. What else have I done? I've done an independent study for a co-curricular. So I've kind of tested out a bunch of different things. Every fall I do soccer. That's kind of my one that I've stuck with so far. But so when you do co-curriculars, you have to do 2 trimesters of something that's considered a team credit. So that's either like a sport, so that's like soccer, lacrosse, basketball, wrestling, baseball, all those things, or theater tech or theater performance. So those are team credits, and then we have a bunch of other options that aren't team credits. So you can do those 1 trimester of the year. So like we have media intern, podcast, makerspace, athletic training intern,
Fitness.
and fitness, rock
Yeah.
climbing, which can be a team credit, but you can only do it. That happens twice a year, and you can only do it once a year for a team credit. Then we also have a bunch of other options.
Yeah.
So
So it's a
yeah.
really great way to kind of explore your interest and try new things.
Yeah.
Great. So we'll talk quickly about boarding life again. About 40% of our students live on campus. 20% of those students are international. So about 50% of our boarding community is international. Students are really able to build those meaningful connections by living with another person and sharing in a community. They're building those independent life skills, as Gwen is literally going through right now, going from being a day student to being a boarding student, but then also embracing Boston. As I mentioned before, we spend a lot of time on the weekends participating in weekend activities, and every weekend there's some component of us going to Boston, whether it's as simple as like a weekend shuttle to Boston or like a very targeted event like going to a Red Sox game or like a museum. Cultural center. But on average, there's about 10 weekend activities. They get posted every Tuesday, Wednesday. Like they got posted last night.
Yeah.
For
Sometimes
the
it's usually Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, so it gives the opportunity for students to really have a lot to do on the weekends. And what's nice too is as a day student, you're invited to weekend activities. So weekend activities aren't just for our boarders.
Yeah.
Quickly talking about college counseling, and then we'll send you off on your tour. We are really proud to be a college prep school, meaning that 100% of our students apply to get accepted to and matriculate to college. But we really like to talk about the balance. So, talking about the process not being stressful. It is stressful to apply to college no matter where you go to high school, and it's a whole process because it is a brand new experience for you. But we really want to focus on the happiness of that balance rather than the challenge. Our college counseling program in earnest starts at the end of your 10th grade, in the beginning of your 11th grade. You've probably heard about the practice test that's probably happening soon for your 10th grade experience. But we're really focused on finding your particular fit. We have students going to a wide array and range of colleges, and it's really about what's the best fit for them. We have students going to highly selective colleges, small liberal arts colleges, large research institutions, state institutions. It really depends on what is best for you, conservatories, art schools. And we want the process to be authentic and simplistic for each and every student. Our director of college counseling, Brooke Fink, is fabulous working with the students, really giving the autonomy to the students and putting the students in our driver's seat instead of it feeling like we have to have you apply to X amount of colleges and they have to be in this range. It's really about what is going to be best for you in your next step of your educative journey. And then this list is available on our website, but just kind of showing that we have had not that many students matriculate because each grade has about 50 students graduating each year. But look at all these colleges getting accepted to and matriculating to, meaning that we have a very diverse group of students going to a very diverse set of colleges. And we're not necessarily sending students to the same 5 colleges year over year. It's really about finding their specific fit. All right. So before you go on tour, we'd be happy to answer some questions. I don't know if there's some questions in the chat. If we want to jump in there, giving y'all some time to think about what questions you have.
There's a question on the international students and where they come from. Where do the international students come from?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So right now we have a little under 20 countries represented from in our international pool. Countries off the top of my head I can list right now are China and Vietnam, Singapore, Spain, Poland, Ukraine,
Austria.
Austria, your roommate's Austrian, Bulgaria, Germany, Costa Rica, Colombia, Uganda, thinking about, but basically every continent is represented except for Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have anyone from Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a bunch, so if you get it in person, feel free to jump in, but I can go down here. Support for students that are on IEPs, specifically with math.
Yeah, so that's where SAS comes into place. So what's great about our SAS program is that when you're applying to Chapel Hill, if you have had been on any IEP or 504, we ask you to actually submit that as part of the application process, and we review it with our director of academic success program. And we're going to be able to see, A, are we going to be able to support the needs of that student? And then B, if we can, we create something called a learning profile for every student that comes on to Chapel Hill. And that learning profile allows each teacher, not just our SAS teacher, but our content level teachers, to be able to understand what supports that they need. Specifically with math, we have many students who've had experiences needing extra support with math, whether that's a diagnosed learning difference in math or just needing extra help or extra time. So certainly we have a lot of experience with that. Yeah.
I have a few more, but are there any in here?
Yeah.
So for SAS it's optional, right?
Yes, optional.
So is there additional fee for that?
Yes. So it is an optional class. It's an additional class, so there is an additional fee for that, and that is a year-long fee. So it would be for the full scope of the year. But again, I would say on average, students are taking it for 1, maybe 2 years. So it wouldn't be a fee that would last throughout the whole 4 years, but it's an additional fee.
Yeah, so I understand that the SAS teachers help with the primary curriculum, but when they do like SAS programs itself, do they get pulled out? How do
So it's its own block. So what's nice is that, like as a 9th grader, for instance, instead of taking maybe Spanish or French, you would take SAS or, an art class. So you're not going to necessarily be pulled out or taken away from any academic content classes. So again, it's an elective course. So it's listed as an elective. So it allows the student to still participate fully in co-curriculars, in clubs, in their full academic coursework, but it's just an additional elective course that you would take.
It also still allows you to complete language, art requirements, academic
Oh,
requirements.
yes. Yeah.
Did you say so? Roughly half of the students are assigned in SA?
Each year, it varies each year, but I would say anywhere for the 9th grade population, new 9th graders, I would say anywhere from like 35 to 50% year over year might enter it. We identify that in the application process, but then we also have families who say, oh, you didn't put it in there, but I would love my child to have it. Can we add it on? And we'll usually not say no, because who doesn't need executive functioning support? Even as adults, I feel like some of us could use a little SAS here and there. So yeah, we definitely say about 35 to 50% of our incoming students will participate in SAS. Yeah.
There's a dining hall question. Just to maybe Gwen.
Yeah, Gwen. I was like,
Yeah.
Gwen, that's all you.
So they want just more detail. Like who is the meals open to? Is it open to everyone? Where do they go? So just a little more detail into dining.
Yeah. So the dining hall is open to everyone. So obviously I'm a boarding student now, so I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner here. But say you were a day student and you had to be here early for some reason, you can have breakfast. If you had to be here for a late game or had late practice, you could stay for dinner. And it's no additional cost, it's included in tuition. So most day students will eat lunch here. But then some will stay for dinner, some will stay for breakfast. So pretty much anybody can have any meal here they want. So yeah.
And I'd say even on the weekends when we have day students come to campus for weekend activities, we have brunch on weekends, and we have some day students come and eat brunch with us. Yeah, for sure.
Have you done the Saturday night dinners?
I have done a couple, yes. I've been home a lot of weekends recently because I've been super busy. I've been working a lot of weekends, but Saturday night dinners are great.
Restaurant style.
Yeah, so it's sort of Saturday night dinners are more restaurant style, so they have like a set menu and you kind of order like I want the chicken, I want the seafood, something like that, and then they'll bring it to you. So it's a little more upscale style. So it's kind of just nice, more like family style for one night of the week, especially for boarders who aren't living at home. It's kind of nice little dinner to have. Yeah.
Oh, for the academic achievement, what percentage of students usually participate?
Oh, like the Distinguished Scholar Diploma? Oh, that's a really great question. I would say probably maybe like 25% of our seniors. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think about like 25% of our seniors, maybe.
Yeah.
I'd say it's getting more popular. In the
Yeah.
past 2 years, it's gone up significantly. So I don't know the exact statistic, but I would say it's definitely more than about a quarter of our, I'd say maybe closer to half
Yeah,
of our seniors
I think
are
it really,
participating with it. Yeah.
like from what I've seen, I think it depends year to year
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
like how many people are interested that year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But I would say last year we had of the senior class, I think there were about like 15 or so people who
Yeah.
had it. So in the senior class was around 50. So
Yeah.
and it is a long commitment. It's like at least a 2 year commitment. So it is something to be really accomplished, like really proud of your accomplishments.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what yours looks like in the
Thank you.
future.
Yeah.
Any other questions before you go out on tour? I don't know.
There's one online here of, it could go either way, so they're saying, is there anything you notice in a student who may not thrive here? Or you could spin it as in a student that does thrive here, but anything you notice in that area of a student?
Yeah, and chime in, of course, Gwen, because you're living and breathing it.
Yeah.
I think we have really a wide variety of students here and student profiles, but I think the one kind of common characteristic is that students want to be part of a small community, and students who thrive here know that they're part of a small community and want to be part of that because this is a place where you're seen, you're known, you're heard, you're valued. And it's hard to not be because everyone knows your name by like the second week because you're in classes of, 8 to 10 students. So regardless of if you're coming from a public school or a private school, if you're coming from locally or you're a boarder coming from across the world, you're in a place where everyone's going to really accept you for who you are. So students who thrive here really lean into that. And lean into taking risks, whether that's like academic risks of like taking on more challenge or that's taking risks of I might not think I'm the best student in this category, but I'm still going to try and I'm going to accept help if I need it. I don't know if there's any other characteristic you can think of.
I mean, yeah, I definitely say those. I'm just someone who wants to be like wants to explore things and wants to go deep into things. I think that this school is really good with that.
Yeah.
They're really good at supporting you in certain areas, but also challenging you in other areas at the same time. So I think that's someone who wants that balance of, because I always knew that at my old school, it felt like because I needed some more help in some things, they thought that I needed more help in everything. But here they have a really good balance of being able to help me in specific areas, but also challenge me in other areas and not just say, oh, she needs help in some areas, she needs help in every area.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't think of things in a vacuum. We really
Yeah.
think of it as like multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
And I also think people who want to try new things, like our co-curricular program is a great example of that, of, you may be a 3-season athlete, but you've never done theater, but you know what, you're going to try theater and it's okay. Or you can be the opposite, be a theater person and never have done a sport and try a new sport. And, you don't feel the like peer pressure of like, what does that feel like? Because everyone's kind of trying something new.
Yeah, I know. When I came here, did soccer in the fall. I hadn't played soccer in many years. I played when I was much younger, but I hadn't played in many years, and I was a little nervous. But there were a number of other people who had never played soccer before, and we were all just helping each other. And there were people who had played for years, and they weren't being like, "Oh, she doesn't know how to play soccer." They were helping us to try to be better and learn how to play soccer. So
yeah. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and I had one last one here, which was transportation. They're talking about coming from Boston and wanting to know what opportunities are, how families get to school on transportation.
Yeah. So transportation, we have a very extensive carpool network, where we're actually really lucky, and Gwen could probably talk about that in her days as a day student. But once a student enrolls at Chapel Hill, they will have access to our carpool network. So students who are coming from Boston proper, what's really nice is that you can either be part of a carpool network in Boston, or you can take public transportation to a local T station and you can be part of a carpool network where a family who's passing that T station will pick your child up from that T station and drop them off. But I don't know if you want to talk about your experience. I love hearing your stories about carpooling.
So I carpooled for 2 years. When I found out I live pretty far away, much more up north, so not many people live up there. So when I found out that there was someone else who lived in my town, we were excited. And I was like, oh, he's a junior in high school and I'm a eighth grader. And I was kind of scared, and I found out that he had already carpooled with someone who lived in Reading. So I was like, I'm gonna be going into 8th grade, and I'm gonna be carpooling with two boys in their junior year of high school. It's kind of scary, but it ended up they became some of my closest friends. I was gonna plan on boarding in 9th grade, but I didn't end up doing that because I wanted one more year with them because they graduated. I still miss them a lot, but we we kind of made it work. Kind of don't realize how close you get to someone when you spend that much time in the car with them. But yeah, they became some of my closest friends, even though I was slightly scared of them at first. But yeah,
I love Gwen's carpool story, but that's a pretty
yeah,
typical story where,
yeah,
you're able to build friendships
yeah.
and things. So there are
And
multiple ways.
yeah, Alex still lives right down the road. I saw them over Thanksgiving break, so Alex never responds to texts, but he always responds when I call him. He's like, what do you want now? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, to everyone on the Zoom, thank you so much for attending. We're so happy that you spent some time with us, and we hope that you learned more about Chapel Hill. In the chat, we put some links there to learn more. So if you want to schedule a virtual interview or come onto campus, we'd be happy to meet with you. And for folks in the room, thank you